Our story takes place in the year 2508 on board the USG Ishimura, a powerful spaceship with the potential to mine planets known as a planet cracker. In the dystopian far future of dead space, humanity has used up all of Earth's natural resources and has developed craft like the Ishimura to loot other planets for their resources. But there seems to have been a problem in this otherwise regular planet cracking mission, and that's where we come in. Engineer Isaac Clarke, Senior Security Officer Zach Hammond, Computer Specialist Kendra Daniels, Corporal Johnston, and Corporal Aiden Chen are sent to board the ship to find the source of the distress call after receiving a distress beacon from the USG Ishimura. Isaac has more at risk because his wife, Dr. Nicole Brennan, is a stationed employee on board the ship engaged in an unidentified project. When the responding officers reach the mining ship, a malfunction causes them to crash into the docking bay of the Ishimura. They are surprised that no one reacts to their grand arrival, and they quickly figure out why. After exploring the ship, Isaac, Hammond, Daniels, and Chen come under attack from dreadful creatures known as Necromorphs. The first time they come into contact with the monsters, Chen is slain, and Isaac becomes separated from his friends and runs further into the ship. Isaac discovers a small workshop where he locates a plasma cutter and a sign written in blood on a wall that reads, "Cut off their limbs," after fleeing an initial swarm of necromorphs. Our protagonist has a way to combat this mysterious foe when Isaac realizes that the flesh-eating creatures, who seem to be mutated replicas of the ship's crew, can only be stopped if they are dismembered. Knowing this, Isaac continues on, determined to locate Nicole, get back with his team, and leave the ship. The group concludes that they must fix the ship to prevent it from collapsing before they have a chance to flee after successfully regaining contact with Hammond and Daniels. Isaac begins by repairing the tram line, which enables him to access other areas of the ship. After rejoining Corporal Johnston, he makes an attempt to get back to the vessel he used to board the Ishimura in order to see whether it can be repaired. Necromorphs attack the ship and destroy it before Johnston has a chance to summarize anything, killing him in the process. From here, Isaac explores the ship, repairing its systems and making an effort to discover more about the Necromorphs. Isaac eventually learns that the planet Aegis 7 has been isolated for decades while the ship is orbiting and mining it. Despite knowing this, the crew of the Ishimura decided to mine despite their true intention, which Isaac later learned to be the recovery of an ancient extraterrestrial relic known as a red marker. Isaac discovers that the ship's captain, Benjamin Mathias, was a devoted follower of the Church of Unitology, a sect that worships a holy object known as the Black Marker, while moving through medical, engines, and eventually the bridge. The colonists on Aegis 7 apparently discovered another marker, so when it was claimed to have strange properties, the Unitologists sent Benjamin Mathias and the Ishimura on a mission to retrieve it under the guise of a routine mining job. They believe the marker contains the keys to eternal life and rebirth. Hammond, who is presently on the bridge attempting to prevent the ship from colliding with an approaching asteroid field, catches up with Isaac as he learns this. Hammond also admits that Chen's necromorphic alter ego, who he has imprisoned in an escape pod, attacked him. Isaac informs Hammond that it is no longer Chen and sends the creature into space. Despite getting a strange signal from Nicole in medical, Isaac manages to recalibrate the ad's cannons outside the ship and stops the Ishimura from being destroyed by asteroids. Along the journey, he learns more information regarding the Ishimura's recovery of the sign, such as how Mathias was able to persuade many of the scientists and researchers aboard the boat to support Unitology. He also discovers that the marker was driving individuals it was in the area of insane, and that it was giving them intense hallucinations, great paranoia, severe despair, and intrusive thoughts that were making them violent. The effects were investigated for the first time on the Aegis 7 colony, but after the red marker was moved aboard the ship, they finally found their way to the Ishimura. However, As the Ishimura started mining Aegis 7, things really started to go south. The colony on Aegis 7 was assaulted and infected by a horde of necromorphs after the Ishimura blew a sizable crater in the planet. The Ishimura cut off all contact in an effort to stop the illness from spreading as the monsters swarmed the colony and begged for assistance. The crew of the Ishimura really questioned Matthias' choice to do this. Eventually, Dr. Terence Kyne made an attempt to arrest Matthias in an effort to save the colony. But while trying to calm the captain down, Kyne unintentionally killed him. The Aegis 7 shuttle that managed to board the Ishimura was then used by the Necromorphs to travel there. Returning to Isaac's adventure, the unfortunate engineer enters medical and follows Nicole's signal to a facility that is home to an unknown beast. Isaac is taken prisoner by Chalice Mercer, a malicious scientist, before he can investigate. The marking has obviously driven Mercer insane because he told Isaac to worship it and kept bringing up an event called Convergence. Additionally, he has been experimenting with necromorphs and has developed the Hunter, an almost unkillable monster with the capacity to regrow severed limbs. The beast pursues Isaac through medical as he tries to deal with the toxic gas flooding the ship, despite Mercer's best efforts to murder him with the creature. Even if Isaac eventually freezes the monster, Mercer's regenerative henchmen haven't given up on him just yet. Following his fight with Mercer, Isaac travels to hydroponics, where he teams up with Dr. Cross, another survivor, to stop the deadly gas and launch the Leviathan, a massive monster, into space. During this time, Isaac learns that he can send an SOS signal into space if he can fix the communications. He decides to work toward this objective and descends to the mining sector. He discovers Nicole Brennan, his wife, who appears to be there and acting strangely if not alive and well. Despite having to go their own ways, she is glad to see Isaac and helps him. Isaac, who is relieved to learn that his wife is still alive, resumes his mission by attaching the communication array to a meteor and launching it into space. When he realizes that the Leviathan has stuck to the ship and must be manually removed, he heads to the bridge to activate the communication array that is now in place. After defeating the creature once more, he opens communication and manages to make contact with a ship called the USM Valor. Until the soldiers on board the Valor confirm that they have discovered the Ishimura's escape pod, exactly the same escape pod containing Necromorph Corporal Chen that Hammond blasted into space earlier in the game. Rescue appears to be on the way. After the Valor crashes with the Ishimura a short while later, Isaac discovers the entire crew dead and replaced by recently transformed Necromorphs. In an effort to rescue some bit of hope, Hammond and Isaac both search the craft on their own and discover a singularity core. They steal it, but Hammond is slain by the Necromorph Chen while doing so. After getting back to the ship, Isaac makes one more attempt, going to the crew quarters in search of a shuttle he can use to install the singularity core into. He meets Mercer and the Red Marker while down there. Following another meeting with Mercer's Hunter, Isaac manages to flee and finally runs into Dr. Terence Kyne. Despite the fact that Kyne has obviously been affected by the marker, he asks Isaac for assistance. He reveals that the Ishimura's mining operations on Aegis 7 exposed a massive monster known as the Hive Mind. The Necromorph outbreak seemed to be caused by the Hive Mind, but if the red marker was brought back to Aegis 7, it may be utilized to contain the monster. Even though Isaac is hesitant, he decides to assist Kyne in bringing the marker to the planet in an effort to put an end to the situation. Mercer is seen by Isaac as he loads the marking onto the escape shuttle just before a giant tentacle viciously kills him. After defeating Mercer and his Necromorphs, Isaac loads the marking aboard the shuttle with success and heads back to the docking bay where he plans to take Kyne, Daniels, and Nicole on a flight down to Aegis 7. But as soon as he gets there, Daniels kills Kine and escapes with the marker, telling Isaac that she has been a government agent all along. It turns out that Daniels' employers wanted to hide the marker's existence, so they assigned her the duty of removing it from the Ishimura. Daniels claims that the red marker was actually constructed by people and is an exact replica of the black marker that was discovered on Earth hundreds of years earlier. When the first marker was discovered, humans realized the objects had unusual qualities that were worth researching, so they produced copies and sent them to other planets for research. Because of this, Aegis 7 was placed under quarantine. Eventually, the government learned about the Unitologists' attempt to take the marking from Aegis 7 and made the decision to stop them. In this effort, Daniels was expected to receive assistance from the USM Valor, the ship that Necromorphs intercepted, helping her remove the marker from the ship. After discovering everything, Isaac is first left to die on the Ishimura. Nicole, however, gets in touch with Isaac and asks him to meet her at the hangar. He and Nicole recall Daniel's ship to the docking bay in a weird series of events during which Isaac drifts in and out of consciousness, causing her to evacuate down to the planet's surface in an escape pod. Once on board, Isaac and Nicole prepare the red marking and ready to seal the hive mind away before flying to Aegis 7 together. The marker, however, launches a red energy beam into the sky as the two maneuver it into place. Soon after, Nicole starts to berate Isaac, telling him that he is making us whole again and starting Convergence. Isaac tries to cut the tethers surrounding the critter containing the monster after realizing that the marker isn't effectively sealing the hive mind away. He encounters Daniels, who is holding Nicole prisoner as he is undoing the tethers. Daniels explains to Isaac that the effect of the marking has corrupted him and then plays a video message for him that reveals the truth. Long before Isaac boarded the Ishimura, Nicole passed away. This new Nicole is only a fantasy. The marker has been projecting Nicole's form over Dr. Cross, the scientist Isaac assisted in the development of hydroponics, using Isaac as a puppet. Daniels shoots Cross after realizing it is too late to stop the marker and escapes the scene while attempting to board the shuttle Isaac used to travel to the surface. When Isaac realizes he has been tricked, Daniels rushes him back to the ship, but the hive mind intercepts them and kills Daniels while trapping Isaac. Isaac finally overcomes the hive mind after a long fight, but the harm has already been done. Isaac silently takes off his helmet after piloting the shuttle into space. A dead Nicole is staring back at him when he turns to look in the passenger seat. It pauses to stare for a moment before striking. Despite Isaac's victory over the hive mind and his escape, the harm has already been done. Isaac's mind has been tainted by the marking, making him crazy. He won't ever be able to recover from its effects, as we discover in Dead Space 2. Dead Space's normal ending is accessible during a regular game. However, by completing New Game Plus and gathering every new hidden marker, you can access an alternative conclusion. This conclusion deserves a little explanation as well, because it raises a lot of issues, particularly for series beginners. In this conclusion, everything remains identical until Isaac defeats the hive mind and uses the executive shuttle to escape into space. Normally, this is when Isaac is attacked by an undead Nicole hallucination, but in our modified ending, he fully accepts the marker's effects on him. In this conclusion, Isaac speaks lovingly to the hallucination of his deceased wife caused by the marker, assuring her that he will make something special for her but keeping his plans a secret. It appears that Isaac is making a reference to Dead Space 2 by hinting at his ambitions to build the red marker. As we learn in the sequel, Isaac is inspired by the red marker found on Aegis 7 to construct a replica of it in the meantime between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2. With the assistance of Earth's shady leadership and another patient who has been affected by markers named Nolan Strauss, Isaac constructs this new red marker. After being contained, it eventually causes the Sprawl, a government-owned space station, to become overrun by Necromorphs, setting the stage for the second game's plot. Isaac Clarke was an engineer before the game started, employed for the CEC, a publicly traded firm. He was well-liked and had succeeded in building a solid name inside the company. While his father was an architect who frequently traveled for work, his mother was a unitologist who dedicated her time, resources, and life to the faith. Years before the events of Dead Space, when she also took the lives of Isaac's father, his mother died as a result of her obsession with Unitology. He has hated Unitology and the worship of the marker since they died. He married Dr. Nicole Brennan, whom he had met and urged to apply for a place on the USG Ishimura while he was still working as an engineer. The Dead Space remake makes sense that the couple's relationship suffered because of their separation. In order to visit Nicole, Isaac joins the Ishimura expedition, setting up his part in the game's plot. Isaac's story develops throughout the next two entries in the series, Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3, where his life becomes intertwined with destroying the markers and ending the Necromorph threat. Unitology plays a significant role in the finding of the black marker on Earth over 300 years before to the events of the first game in the Dead Space mythos. The Chicxulub crater in Mexico is home to the first marking that humans ever came across. The book Dead Space, Martyr focused on the investigation of the black marker and followed Dr. Michael Altman, one of the first people to deal with the marker. Altman is one of the most significant characters in Dead Space, so if his name sounds familiar, that's because he is. Altman is commonly referred to by Unitologists as a supernatural prophet of their faith, even going so far as to part ways by saying praise Altman. Despite the fact that this was not the unfortunate scientist's original objective, Altman is revered as a god by the Unitologists. The majority of Altman's co-workers and acquaintances perished after initially coming into contact with the marker and becoming insane as a result of the artifact. Altman, however, was immune by its effects. Altman alerted the public to the black marker's existence after realizing the seriousness of his findings. Altman was kidnapped and killed by a squad of military officials under the influence of the marking after destroying the facility containing it. Shortly after, these officers founded the Church of Unitology, faking Altman's death and turning it into a martyrdom story. They believed that Altman heard from the marker and died so that the world would benefit from its heavenly wisdom. The Church of Unitology develops into a widely practiced religion in the years following Altman's passing, despite the impression that it is more of a cult. The marking has infinite wisdom, will reunite them with loved ones who have passed away, and will provide rebirth after death, according to their fundamental beliefs. Even in the 2023 Dead Space remake, Isaac admits that his mother was a Unitologist before the church corrupted her mind and ultimately caused her death. You'll probably recall hearing the word convergence referenced quite a few times, whether it was in reference to Dr. Mercer or Isaac's delusion of Nicole. Dead Space 3 finally clarifies what convergence is and what the marker's true purpose is, even though it's not quite evident at this stage in the plot what convergence is. In order for a marker to evolve into its final form, there must be enough organic material nearby that has been converted into Necromorph DNA for convergence to occur. This shape, called a Brethren Moon, absorbs the entire Necromorph DNA and combines it into one enormous celestial body in the sky. This thing is almost unstoppable from here, capable of consuming entire planets' worth of organic life. The markers almost act as the Necromorph's method of reproduction. Black markers are placed into planets that can support intelligent life, and will remain inactive for centuries until the planet's native life forms have advanced. When the marker becomes sentient, it will send a signal that corrupts all nearby intelligent life. The marker will not only drive its subjects insane, but also compel them to construct duplicates of it. These duplicate tread markers, which are also spread to other planets, are exactly like the ones we see in Dead Space. The marking will eventually start to change and infect its victims, producing necromorphs. A conversion event will start once there are enough necromorphs, and the Brethren Moon will be born. New markers will then be delivered to new planets as the cycle continues. Several other sophisticated alien species experience this in Dead Space 3, and one character even proposed that this might be the reason that Dead Space's highly developed human race had never communicated with extraterrestrial life. Isaac Clarke's mind has been changed by the marking at the conclusion of Dead Space, as evidenced by Nicole's horrifying hallucination. A severe case of dementia brought on by Isaac Clarke's contacts with the marker is present in the sequel, which immediately follows this. A text log that New Game Plus adds to your rig also contains a brief mention of the second game. Go to the Side Missions tab in your Messages database after starting a fresh save. The sprawl, the primary setting of Dead Space 2, is mentioned in a conversation between two employees. Even the Concourse Retail Center is mentioned, which Isaac battles through during the game's events and is described as a terrific location for kids. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below.